Join me. We'll have a lot of fun together.
Weekdays at 5:45 on KSJE. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, here to meet your urgent and emergent medical needs, whether they are COVID-19 related or not. Medical emergencies happen when you least expect them, whether it's a stroke, heart attack, illness, or injury. San Juan Regional Medical Center's caregivers are here to provide care to you and your loved ones. Find out more online at sanjuanregional.com. Ten minutes past 8 o'clock. It's Monday morning, April the 19th, 2021. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin. Thank you for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air, of course, here in San Juan County. 103.3 FM over the air in Durango, Colorado, and streaming everywhere from our website at ksje.com. Welcome also to our viewers who are watching this visual radio program. It is streaming live this morning to the KSJE YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and our Twitter account. We are glad that you are with us, everybody. Coming up this morning, we are talking about the ongoing fundraising campaign for improvements of the pediatric wing at San Juan Regional Medical Center called Building Wings. We'll learn more about that, and for our visual radio viewers, you'll be seeing some of the improvements that are planned for the pediatric wing at San Juan Regional Medical Center, so stay tuned for that. That begins in the next few moments right here on KSJE. And then next hour, Mick Hess is going to take us roving with the arts. Mick is going to be playing some music from Haydn, some of his string quartets, and a trumpet concerto coming up on the program today, so stay tuned for that. And before that, later on this hour, I'll be talking technology with Lewis Campbell, and he's from Synergy Computer Systems, of course, and there's lots to talk about on this Monday morning, so we hope you'll stay tuned for that, of course, coming up at 8:50 a.m. right here on KSJE. And don't forget, of course, you can connect with us on our other social media platforms like our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, our Twitter account, and our Instagram page as well. And let's talk about the weather forecast, shall we, today? And we have something new today because I'm pleased to be joined by our weather intern. Rolando Yazzie is going to be joining me this morning to give us the weather forecast. Rolando, good morning, and I'll let you take it from here.
All right, Scott, good morning. And for today, we're looking at sunny skies with a breeze, highs in the mid-60s. For tonight, breezy with mostly clear skies, lows in the mid-30s. For Tuesday, breezy with mostly sunny skies, highs in the lower 60s. Tuesday night, partly cloudy skies, lows in the upper 30s. Wednesday, partly cloudy skies, high around 70. Wednesday night, breezy with mostly clear skies, lows in the upper 30s. And for Thursday, mostly sunny skies, highs in the upper 60s. Thursday night, partly cloudy skies with a slight chance of showers, lows in the upper 30s. For Friday, mostly sunny skies with slight chance of showers and thunderstorms, highs in the mid-60s. And for Friday night, mostly clear skies, lows in the upper 30s. I'm Rolando Yazzie reporting your weather forecast on 90.9 KSJE.
All right, Rolando, thank you very much. I like the sunshine. I'm not so fond of the winds and the showers, but that's okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You bet. That is Rolando Yazzie, our KSJE weather intern with the weather forecast. He is one of the students in the CLEAR program here at San Juan College. Thank you, Rolando. Joining me this morning to talk about efforts to improve the pediatric floor at San Juan Regional Medical Center. Ginger Palmer is here from the San Juan Medical Foundation. Always great to see you. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you, Scott. I'm glad I could be here with you.
Me too. Good to have you. Also joining us this morning is one of the doctors on the pediatrics floor, Dr. Brad Scoggins. Good morning, Dr. Scoggins. Good to have you here back with us as well.
Oh, good morning, Scott. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Good to have you here as well. And let's get started by talking about this project and the need for improvements on the pediatric floor. And Dr. Scoggins, let me talk to you because that's where you spend, I assume, a fair amount of your time. And that floor has not seen much improvements in how many years? 30 years we're talking about? 50 years.
Yeah, well,
Probably 45.
Yeah.
I'm going to do math and take my shoes off, counting my toes. 45 years, 75 we said, right?
Yeah, 1978, I believe, is what
Right.
the
78.
slides there. Yeah, but
Gotcha.
close enough.
All right.
Yeah, close
Thank you.
enough.
Well, thank you. That's why I'm a journalist and not a mathematician. But in any event, it's been a long time since that floor was first opened, right? The pediatric wing.
Correct.
And so, so talk to me a little bit about the need for improvements then, right? So what's the situation?
Yeah, absolutely. So the care on the pediatrics floor will not change. We will maintain an excellent level of care for, for a community hospital like ours. And unfortunately, I read stories every day about pediatric units and community hospitals shutting down due to lack of business, lack of expertise, lack of services available to pediatrics. We have been able to maintain that level of services. The pediatric floor is lagging behind the care, just in terms of architecture and modern conveniences like having bathrooms in each patient room.
Which seems to us today like a no-brainer, but in 1978, that was maybe a little different design of a hospital wing.
Right, even more recently than that.
Okay.
So yeah, but we're definitely in need of catching up to 2021 for sure. And so bathrooms, increased space, and comfort for parents staying with their children is also going to be a main focus.
Got you. And we'll talk more about some of those specifics in just a moment. But Ginger Palmer, then that brings in the San Juan Medical Foundation as a way to
Correct.
raise the funds to make this all happen, correct?
Exactly,
And
yeah.
so you've identified, what, about $700,000 in improvements for that wing?
Exactly. Yeah, we're working hard to raise about $750,000 to make these improvements. We want to relocate the pediatric unit from 3 Central to 3 East, and then make improvements in every patient room. With some big improvements would be the medical grade air being installed, in some of the rooms, and the negative pressure rooms. And Dr. Scoggins can tell you what that entails.
Yeah, because I don't understand what that means, but it sounds interesting. So, but this is all some of the filtration systems and things like that. We actually, in this year of COVID, have learned a lot about air quality and filtration. So, I assume this has something to do with that.
Very much so, yeah. This sort of highlighted a need that already existed, only maybe not to the same scale. We've needed negative pressure rooms for things like tuberculosis and varicella, which is chicken pox. That need has been there for decades, really. But as we see in an era like COVID, yeah, we need more of these rooms to be able to handle those patients.
Got you. And I guess doing some of these improvements would then allow it to be even improved upon in the future. If you do this major work now and things can be upgraded, I imagine some of the equipment may be hard to upgrade after 45 years.
Yeah, well said. I think you're right, yeah.
Gotcha. And so with this being said, this again a major improvement for the hospital. You mentioned some of the stories that you've heard about pediatric wings having to shut down because of lack of use, equipment, physicians, whatever the case may be. Our area, we don't seem to be having any of those problems, right? We still have a lot of kids in the area. We still have a need for a pediatric wing.
Yes.
Most
Yeah,
people
very much
don't
so.
realize that San Juan Regional is the only hospital in our area that has a designated pediatric unit. And so, other hospitals in our area, they admit their pediatric patients to the medical unit, which is discouraged by pediatric medical associations and different organizations like that, or associations.
Yeah, definitely preferable to have separate units. The ability to lock down a unit for parental custody issues, and that's a very valuable asset too. So yeah, it requires a different type of care than you'd give adults.
Sure. And I guess would improvements to the wing here at San Juan Regional Medical Center then allow for more transfers in from maybe other hospital if there is a child that is so very sick, maybe they need some more specialized care than what they can get elsewhere?
Yes, and that would be a goal as well. With the increased capacity, yes, we would be looking to advertise more widely the services we offer and try and get more in transfers. Our goal is always to keep kids close to home. So if kids get sick, and this is really newborns up through 16, 17 years of age, if there's a way we can keep them here, we want to.
And this is what we're talking about, the pediatrics, it's kids up to 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
And so that's the idea. And I can't even imagine as a parent having to deal with a sick child and then having to deal with driving, 200 miles to visit my sick child, if that was the case, or stay overnight away from home for my sick child. Isn't that some of the reality for some of these folks?
Absolutely, which is something we never take lightly. So yeah, and of course, New Mexico, we don't have a whole lot of resources, so our pediatric beds, even in Albuquerque, fill up pretty quickly in the winter months. So often kids are having to be transferred as far as Denver, Phoenix, occasionally El Paso. So so that adds that much more burden to families that are already going through a rough time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so that is, again, the reason for the upgrades here and what we're talking about. And,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that are on this list, and some of the things you mentioned, the security, which I never even thought about, but stuff you probably have to deal with more often than not.
Yeah, more often than we'd like to.
Yeah, when you're dealing with sick kids and perhaps some kind of a divorce situation or what have you, right? And that would be that situation.
And we'll be installing remote control locking doors so that they can immediately be
Right.
locked down whenever with this security upgrade. So that'll make it, a much more secure unit in itself.
Right.
Absolutely.
And again, these days that seems just like a no-brainer. Of course you would, but 1978, that wasn't even probably a thing people were thinking too much about, was security and things like that. But that's what we see in schools and in other public places as well. So let me ask you a bit more about some of these other plans that you have and what these rooms might look like. And for our viewers who are watching us this morning, we can kind of get a little bit of a idea of what the rooms would be like. And so talk to me a little bit about that. How are these different from what we have now? We're day and night and day?
We are.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
much so.
they'll be much more spacious rooms. We'll be including, like the screen says, the flat screen TVs. We're taking the guest chairs and sleep arrangements into high consideration because there's just not a comfortable place for parents or caregivers to stay with their children overnight. So we're going to, make sure that they have a comfortable place to stay. As Dr. Scoggins mentioned, we will be adding private restrooms to each room. Right now, 75% of the patient rooms in the unit do not have a private restroom. So it isn't very convenient whenever you have to take your child down the hall in the middle of the night,
Right.
to go potty.
Yeah, no kidding.
So anyway, the rooms are going to be decorated in bright, vibrant colors. We're going to have the hot air balloon theme from New Mexico. Everybody in New Mexico loves hot air balloons.
Of course
so
we do.
we're going to use those bright, vibrant colors to really add some, fun design to our patient rooms and not make them so sterile. We've got kids are just intimidated, by the sterile environment of any hospital, and adults too, for that matter. But we're going to make this a fun unit for kids to be, in while they're going through a difficult.
If they have to be in the
time.
hospital, they might as well be in a
Right.
comfortable environment, I would
Exactly.
assume. And I'm sure, Dr. Scoggins, you see this all the time, right, with children and families, if they're coming to the hospital for whatever treatment they need. I mean, I would assume the child is already a little apprehensive about having to, whatever's not going well for them or feeling right for them, and then mom and dad, same thing.
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
And so this would help, obviously, with all that. And the privacy, I know in the other patient rooms at San Juan Regional Medical Center, that's been a big strive, too, to get them all into these private rooms as opposed to semi-private or shared rooms or things like that. And that's kind of where we're going with this unit as well, it seems to me.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in these days of HIPAA and things like that, is that one of the reasons to try to keep everyone separate?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the ability to, cohort patients with given disease processes, so, different infectious agents like RSV, for example, keep those patients separate from
Somebody else.
Take a baby who's in there for bilirubin problems under a blue light.
Right. That would have to be in a separate room, or ideally.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Very good. And let me look about some of the other things we want to talk about too. A playroom is also part of the plans, and so talk to me a bit about that. I know what a playroom is, and I'm sure I enjoyed many in my younger days, 100 years ago. But every kid loves a playroom, right? If they can get out, and that may help in the healing process, I would assume too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The ability to get up and play and run about the floor. In fact, that's one great indicator we have when kids are ready to go home. If they're running up and down the hallways, we pretty well are sure they're well enough to get out of here.
Right. True.
Yeah, and one of my favorite sort of historical stories has to do with the floating hospital for children, which used to actually be on a ship. and I can't remember if it's Baltimore or Boston, Inner Harbor. I can't remember. Yeah, but they used to have sun decks where kids with rickets would go take walks out in the sunlight to up their vitamin D levels, and so it's just kind of reminiscent of the ability to get up and move around, because just about whatever's wrong with you, laying in bed is not the answer at any age.
That's very true. Very true.
Currently, our in the lobby near the nurses station, it's a desk that's got toys stacked on top of it, so there's really no dedicated play area. The kids can go and take a little break if they're if they're physically able to do that. So.
Right. So if they want to play, they're going to be in someone else's probably path.
You're right.
If they're trying to play and do something.
Right.
But that leads to another point too, Dr. Scoggins, which is, how do you tell if a sick child is feeling better, if they can't communicate with you or communicate well? And I guess watching them play is a good indication. If that leg is feeling a little better and they're running around on it, maybe it's not as sore as I tell you when they're lying in the bed.
That could happen. Yeah.
Right. I suppose it could. So there you go. But one way to do it. So this would be a larger dedicated space in this new remodel is what we're talking about, correct?
Exactly. And it'll have toys, it'll have books, it'll have arts and crafts supplies, things to keep them busy and preoccupied so they're not thinking about what they're going through at the time. So.
Right. Yeah. Which is important. And some of the other improvements as well, some of the entry improvements when you arrive at the pediatric ward. Improvements there would look like some different colors and different decorating and things like that.
All the hallways will be lined with the hot air balloon theme. There'll be patterns on the floors. Like I said earlier, it can be a real overwhelming and intimidating experience, and so we're just trying to do everything we can to make that sterile environment go away and make it. We know we can't make it a vacation, or we can't compete with the comfort of their home or their bedroom, at home, but we're going to make them as comfortable as we can while they're going through a sickness and trying to recover from it.
Right. That's important. And again, the security doors, which you've talked about before, but again. That's so important these days, and I'm trying to remember back when they were remodeling some of the maternity ward and installing some of those security improvements too, and I thought at the time it seemed like a lot, but it was explained to me in great detail why that was necessary, and it made a lot of sense. So, and I can see it here too. So that's important. So some of the other improvements that are coming up, and then the nursing station. That is something else. And so right now, how's the nursing station working out? Is it just an old design?
Yeah, it's an old design. It's it's an old design. It's I think it does create some more difficulties with flow that I think this upgraded unit will fix. Yeah.
Gotcha. And there has been a lot of improvements, I would say, over the years in hospital design, if you will, right? From the way patient rooms are designed in nursing stations, and I know it's nice to be able to see from a glance, like down the hall, and having that kind of line of sight. And that's important? Yeah,
absolutely. And of course, just day-to-day things, how we chart and where we chart has all moved to the digital space. So we're, now instead of needing, large desks where we can lay charts out, now we need room for more computers. So there's adequate room for everybody to have a workstation.
Right.
So yeah, little things like that require some change.
Gotcha.
From 1978.
From 1978, exactly. There you go. And this would take care of that.
I believe
this
so,
is
yes.
part of that remodel, part of that redesign of the pediatric wing at San Juan Regional Medical Center, which is what we're talking about this morning.
And even down to the chairs that the nurses will be sitting in. We want them to be comfortable and be able to, not get a back out of place or something because they don't have the appropriate furniture, to sit in. So we're taking the whole concept into account, when we're considering this.
And for this area of the hospital, maybe different than others, because if you've got sick kids, you're going to have more visitors necessarily, or parents who are coming in, right, than you would maybe in another place. And so this would kind of be the area where parents would go to then find out where to go to see their sick child or whatever. Is that kind of how it works?
Absolutely.
Part of the plan. So this is part of that, part of those improvements as well. And as we go through, so here's what we need. Ginger, this now turns to you, right? These are the dollars.
Yeah, this is the important stuff here.
Right.
No, the important stuff is getting that pediatric unit updated. And
but you got to pay for it.
It takes this to make that happen. That's right.
None of this stuff is cheap.
Right.
Unfortunately, and so that is kind of where these dollar amounts come from, right?
Right.
And so you're looking for these different types of gifts.
Exactly. This is a good demonstration of how, any amount that's given makes a big difference. Together these donations come together. And if we receive the number of gifts in the gifts needed columns in the amounts that's right beside them, we would raise over $500,000 just from receiving those number of gifts. So, you know, it's this chart just shows that anybody can give. You know, there's a level of giving for anybody that wants to help, and every single dollar makes a difference. So.
Indeed. And for our radio audience who can't see the chart, I'm going to read a few. You go from $5 and you get 600 of those, 300 gifts at $10 a piece, all the way up to $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, and $50,000, and that would all add up to what you're talking about. It gets you well on your way to that total amount that you're looking for, that $750,000.
Exactly.
$750,000, pardon me.
Right.
But there you go. And Dr. Scoggins, I know, as I said earlier, you've kind of divvied up a little bit and pony up to put your money where your mouth is, because you feel very strongly about this project and the improvements that are needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
You and your wife.
Absolutely, yeah. We, we've made the Four Corners in Farmington our home for the last 7 years, and we'd love to see the community continue to grow and be able to offer, the services to pediatric patients that they deserve and that our hospital is capable of, and and these physical improvements go a long way toward doing that.
Right. And so, Ginger Palmer, there's still some naming opportunities for some very generous individuals in our community if they would like to do that.
And we have been totally blessed and completely blown away by the generosity of our community so far. As you can see, and the radio audience can't see, but so I'll tell you that the entire pediatric unit was graciously donated $250,000 for the naming rights to name the pediatric unit after Rita V. Marion. So the Marion Family Foundation came through for that, and so we are beyond grateful. I mean, there's no words to describe how grateful we are for any of these donations, really.
Of course. Well, and we have the Playroom is going to be
Dr.
the Scoggins Playroom, I suppose, right? So
absolutely.
Thank you very much for that.
We're very grateful for that as well. And then the nurses station was donated by the Marion family. The Bayless family.
Another good name to know, though.
Exactly.
Yes, in the community, for sure.
Yeah, they're naming that after Bob and Bernie Bayless, their parents. So
very nice.
Yes.
And long time, the Marions and the Baylesses and the Scoggins, I would say, long time supporters of the hospital.
Exactly,
for sure.
I mean,
there's a lot of things named after those families on that campus.
And
there are the other opportunities, we should say, that don't yet have names attached to them would be patient rooms, and you have 12 of those to...
We actually have 11 now, because we have one patient room that's already spoken for, and that's Kaiser Levitt Insurance Group. So.
Oh, wonderful.
Very good.
So we've got one spoken for so far, so we still have 11 to fill for $40,000, and we will be looking for a sponsor as well for the treatment room and exam room. Yeah.
And that's about $30,000.
$30,000, exactly.
So those are some of the naming opportunities, but again, donations and gifts as small as $5 will be much appreciated, and will go towards the completion of this project.
That's true. And we have received, many other donations other than what's on this chart. But it's all coming together to help us reach our goal.
Sure, which is wonderful. And so, give us an idea of a timeline. Do you have anything in mind of when you'd like to get started with some of this, or you want to raise the money first before you can?
We're trying to raise the money
ground?
First. And we have, we're actually, since December, we started this at the end of December, and we have raised over $630,000 already. So we're just about...
Wow. Yeah, good for you. Well,
like I said,
why doesn't that surprise me?
We're
From
blessed.
Ginger Palmer is involved in a fundraising
Very
effort.
true.
I am not surprised at all, but that's wonderful.
I know. I keep teasing that people are going to start calling me Joyce Donald.
Well,
and that would be a big compliment
I was going to
me.
say, right? If you have to be compared to anybody,
I would love
Joyce
that.
is the one. So
exactly.
I'm right there with you. But that's wonderful.
So we're about $120,000 away from reaching our goal.
Okay.
And I'm certain that we're going to be able to do that by the end of this year.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
And Dr. Scoggins, wouldn't it be great to be able to cut the ribbon or turn the shovel or whatever you do on an award on the X floor, wherever we are,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, the outpouring of generosity from the community has been overwhelming, especially,
Absolutely.
I mean, we're just talking about cost of construction, everything skyrocketing, and the fact that people are still willing to be so generous is awesome.
Indeed.
So
You have
thank
had to increase the budget just a little bit
We
because
have.
of increased costs, correct?
Exactly. All the cost of construction materials have increased, or they've skyrocketed, you know.
We're just talking about that.
Yeah,
That's
so due to COVID, it seems like there's a shortage of everything, and supply and demand, you know how that works. So
Right.
It's the price of everything has gone up
Very true.
dramatically.
But I think this shows, too, what the community is willing to support this project as well, and sees the need for this new pediatric wing to help our kids who are sick, and that's a nice thing to be able to see as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. If we can keep them close to home and the most comfortable settings we can offer, yeah, that's the goal.
Indeed. And Dr. Scoggins, when kids come to the hospital, I know every case is different, but I mean, what's the average stay, would you say? How long is a child in that pediatric unit if they're sick enough to have to come to the hospital?
Sure. Most pediatric inpatient admissions are pretty brief. I mean, we're talking 2 to 3 days at the absolute maximum. But there's a decent handful that stay, you know, a week or two in some cases. Just it depends widely on presentation
Of course.
and what other what other diseases they have underlying.
But even a couple days, if you're a kid with a limited attention span,
Yeah.
I know some adults who have a limited attention span too, but that can be really rough to have to stick in one spot or one room or whatever for even a day.
Yeah, for the kids, absolutely, and for the parents, I'd say just as much. You know,
True.
Without having a comfortable place to sleep, and being away from their other children, there's so much downstream impact from a inpatient stay for a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seems like the hospital has kind of embraced the idea of healing and adding other things to the healing besides the skilled doctors and the treatments and things like that. We have the great healing garden, and we have all the other things, the amenities that have gone into some of the recent remodels at the hospital. This seems to be along those same lines, to try to treat the entire patient beyond maybe the medicine, the surgery, but other types of healing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Without those other types of healing, I'm not going to say our hands are tied, but we won't go nearly as far. So yeah, having comfortable surroundings, having aesthetically pleasing surroundings, it all adds up.
Right. And Ginger Palmer, I know you've heard about that too for a long time, about the importance of having these surroundings to help with the whole healing picture.
Absolutely. And, you know, going hand in hand with this campaign, we also have a toy drive campaign that Leadership San Juan started. One of their groups started last year. I happen to be a part of that group.
Well,
anyway,
there you go.
So we are gathering toys so that we'll always have a toy cart in that pediatric unit where we can push it around to every patient's room and let them choose a toy that they can take and keep as their own.
I was going to say,
And
the
so-
kids can take the toy
yes,
home, right, once they're
exactly.
discharged from the hospital. What a great idea.
So, yeah, so we've got that little caveat that we can add in there too.
Very good.
To improve that healing process for
That's
them.
great.
That's
Yeah.
that's awesome. And so for folks who are listening to us this morning and want to write a check, make a gift, put their name on the door of whatever is left to put their name on,
Right.
they can call the San Juan Medical Foundation and go through your
Sure.
website, or what's the best way to do it?
Absolutely. The website, if you want to use your credit card, you know, or don't want to bother writing a check, whatever, you can go to www.sanjuanmedicalfoundation.com. If you want to call us, we can take your credit card over the phone, and that's 609-680. I'm giving you my personal phone number, which isn't bad.
That's all right. She answers.
6813, or you can call me at 609-6805.
Okay.
Or you can mail a check to P.O. Box 110, Farmington, 87499.
Okay. But the website is probably the best, easiest way
Yes,
to do it.
and
if
there's
you're,
much more information on there too than we've covered today. So that if you want other information, go on there and visit. There's pictures, there's architectural renderings, so you can see, you know, what our plans are for the new pediatric unit.
Indeed. Well, it's very exciting. SanJuanMedicalFoundation.com is the website, and again, you're well on your way to reaching your goal, both of you.
We
So
are.
congratulations. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
we look forward to seeing this new space for our kids here in the San Juan County Four Corners region. So thank you both for coming in this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We appreciate you having us.
Yes, very much so.
You bet. Always great to see you both. Thank you so much.
Likewise.